You are watching NCN.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another session of a ChildLinK program where we have various discussions really examining some of the social issues that we face in today's society. Over the past few weeks, we've been dealing with a variety of topics focused on masculinity, abuse, intimate partner violence, and this week we're really focusing on school bullying. And I'm really happy to have with us here today Ms. Donita Allen and Mr. Alston Bart, who are our two panelists and who I believe will be very engaging in this conversation, really put forward a lot of insightful things that we might not have considered as yet. So, Ms. Donita and Mr. Bart, when it comes to persons who might not be familiar with you, would you mind just giving a brief introduction of yourselves and what it is you do? How about we start with you, Miss Allen?
Oh, my name is Miss Allen. I am a teacher and I am attached to Living Hope Secondary School. Yeah.
Thanks so much. So Mr. Bart seems to be having some challenges. So, Miss Allen, would you mind just giving us a bit more information on your role as a teacher? What subject do you teach? What forms?
I, I am teaching science. I go to science, but I am in upper level, the fourth and fifth formers, right? And also third formers also. So, and as a teacher, I enjoy teaching children. I love children. I think today, the classroom and around the this, it takes a lot of to be a teacher. I am there to do part and to play because somebody has to do the job to play a positive role in the children's life. Because not only teaching alone subject, but there are other areas that we have to look at and become conscious of what is happening in our school environment so that we can help those children because they really need help. So
Yeah, being a teacher, being a teacher is really a big job. Like you have so many responsibilities. Not it's not only about educating children and teaching them the subject, but you really have a lot of time with them where you're able to shape some of their perspectives on lives and so much more. So I do know it can be a very, very difficult role, and it's important that teachers, of course, also get the support that they need. And Miss Allen, I know you mentioned that you kind of teach the upper levels. And so I'm not sure if you had mentioned how many years you've been teaching, but I'm curious to know over the years of you being a teacher, what are some of the patterns you might have seen as it relates to violence within a school or school bullying, to be more specific?
the patterns I observe is that you find that in the classroom, where for example I look at my classroom, the pattern that I have seen is that it has changed. The classroom has changed from the time I've teaching to now. There is a big change, you know. And I find where I have to be more vigilant. I have to look at how I deal with emotions. It's only teaching a subject. Because sometimes in teachers we just want to go and get our subject over, teach math, English, just that's it. You look at the curriculum. But then what about the other curriculum that is missing? Right? So I have seen that there is a change that is happening and the change is there's a spillover, right? When I say spillover, even to us as teachers, sometimes we get tired, and we tend to say, I don't think I'm gonna do it anymore. But when it comes to that, look, I said, no, I can't say that. I guess somebody has to do the job. So for me, I would say that it's become a bit more challenging. So therefore, definitely we have to change the way we teach the children, and we have to also change the way we think and how we look at them. It's a big difference from then to now, way big difference. And also, I will look at the of how technology also we live in a technological world, how it has placed a big impact in the way we teach, and how children actually deliver themselves in the class, how they behave. Because the children learn from technology also too. I'm finding that, and they bring it in the classroom. So it's a big challenging, a bit challenging.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. Thanks so much. I know you mentioned that there are some challenges that you've really seen kind of merge or develop over the years. Would you want to get into a bit of what some of those are specifically?
What you find that for me, I find that children develop interest in schoolwork. The focus is or are on some other areas, right? And we want to know what really get their attention, what get the children attention, and how can you bring them back into the classroom? Because we recognize as teachers that children need to have an education. And if they want to go somewhere, they must have to represent themselves. And they must have to learn to read, write, spell, which is the basic thing. But then it's more than that. So when I say the troubling is that the lack of interest in schoolwork, into how they take care of themselves, the way how they speak, the way they operate among themselves and peers, it's different. It's totally different. It's different. So
Yeah, we
and
we see
as
that.
teacher been very yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, Miss Allen, what do you think are some of the main contributors to bullying in schools?
Well, wow, that's a good one. One thing for me, being a classroom teacher, and when I look at my class, I look for me. Let me go with me. I look at my class, and I try to learn from the action. I be very keen how I look and I operate. Sometimes I stand in my class. One thing I do, I go and say good morning. I start doing all kind of thing. But when it comes to bullying, when it comes from my class, some of them are most of them are from single parent homes, right? And even if they're not single parent homes, you find that both parents are there, yes, but one is more active than the other, whereby the father is lacking in those homes. And sometimes when you ask them these questions, you might hear that, yes, mommy had money and daddy didn't sing, and we look at something. So one of the bullying, that's one of the to me is one of the main areas. There are many other areas. One of the things that I before I go, one thing that I would notice is that even though they have both parents in the home, you may not be aware of who else or what else are influencing your child or children, right? You might be doing all you can do and doing all this you can do, you're doing sorry, and then there are some other external forces. That's you gotta be aware who and what our children are involved in. Example, we have the internet, right? They spend hours on the internet, who they're talking to, what are they looking at, what is actually influencing them, right? So it's not only single parent homes alone and probably parents who are low incomes, and so there are other areas because I have children whose parents are wealthy up and doing well, but still. So one year is that I found that the parents from children say, okay, miss, this is it. My mother and father, I have everything that I need, but that I don't have time for attention. They don't give show me time of the day. So the children look for attention,
Mhm.
right? They come to school and they act out. And when you listen to them and you sit to them and you listen to them and you talk to them, you hear so many things comes out of that story. So for me, I would not totally blame it on just single parent homes or low income homes or whatever it is, maybe on or something, sorry. But there are a
Yeah.
lot more activities, more things that happen out there that parents are not aware of.
Mhm.
And I can go on and on because there's some experience that I had with children and how I was able to help them through this process. And
Mhm.
that's how I realized that being a teacher alone is more than just being a teacher to help with the bullying in the classroom.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
And I know that when it comes to one of the contributors to bullying also is that, a lot of times children don't really act off of their own. They're really just kind of replicating patterns within
Mhm.
their homes. So if it is that
Exactly.
they have, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, if it is that they have
That's so
violence
true.
within the home, it's very
Mhm.
likely that they will
Mhm.
that within the school
Mhm.
environment.
Mhm. Mhm. I
Mr.
know of that.
Bart,
I can talk to that. It's true.
would you like to go ahead on that point before we pivot to Mr. Bart?
Yes, yes, sure. I like the points that Miss Allen would have um brought up there. Also, peer pressure. I don't know if I came in late. I don't know if she would have said anything about peer pressure, but in some cases, students are not what can I say? They don't want to be a bully, but because of their friends around, they tend to be pressured into bullying someone, right? So you find a child coming out of a good home, a respectable home, brought up properly and these things. But at school, there's a different um, behavior taking place because of their peers, right? So you would find because of peer pressure, students take part in bullying, right? So that, to me, from my observation, I have found that to be one of the major factors right now with as it relates to bullying in schools, right? And yes, I heard Miss Allen said something about the home. Yes, it's true when there are negative things playing out at home, like probably the father beating the mother or vice versa, or an older sibling is picking on the child at home, they can also come out and display that same type of behavior within the school system, right? So there's a lot going on. That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah, peer pressure definitely does play a very, very large role in bullying, and that's why it's really important that we speak to children and ensure that they're not really following the crowd in that regard and they're able to think independently about the way in which they kind of navigate those environments. So I do know that there's been the view that there has been an increase in school bullying in Guyana. What do you think is driving this view necessarily? Do you agree with it? Do you think that it's being overblown, or do you have any other perspectives on that?
If I can, is it okay if I go first?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay. I wouldn't say it's so much of a view,
Hmm.
I would say it's the reality that we're in. We have to like to me, we have to start talking about this thing as it is. See it as it is, right? And then from there we'll able to deal with it properly. Now there are many factors that are driving this bullying in school or violence in school. Their lack of attention at home, right? When children feel neglect, these are things that, you know, also gang activities can also drive up that, ramp it up, right? And
Hmm.
you see how the lack of attention at home can link towards these things. They all can be linked. You're not getting attention at home, so you go and be a part of a gang. You go and be a part of a crew, and that now prompt that child into partaking in these activities, bullying, violence, taking life to school, and these things. Also, some may say poverty, but I don't think it all depends. Poverty can be a factor that is driving these things because even a home, everything that's supposed to go right is not going right. Children, they pick that up, right? They pick up the stress and strain parents are under, and they tend to drift into a whole psychological dynamics that can lead them down that bad road of depression and cause them to act out, steal and these things, right? And taking other students' money and these things, they don't have money to eat lunch or something, so they take someone else's money, right? I've seen that where older students would go to the younger ones and take their money. I would have to rectify these issues in the school, deal with them. So the poverty can play a role, but it's how the angle you look at it. I will stop there so I can give Miss Allen a chance. I don't want to say more.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Robert, you're right. You're right what you're saying. As parents, well, we are parents, yeah, as parents, we have become sort of what on the area and who we're dealing with. Now, when I say that, you have your child at home, you might be busy, but you should take time out to be observant. You know, you observe your child. There are certain signs as parents we have to look for in those children, right? I mean, so about me saying that yes, poverty it can can play a role in it, right? But from me, my take is on this is that from a child, from small age, we have to grow children up in a way that to be contented in one area. Let them understand certain areas that you know, you bring them up in that area. Now, let me say my name. Some parents don't know, right? And so we won't batter, we're not battering anybody here. Some parents don't know. So us as teachers know. Children look at us, right? And they might come from home that has a lot of disturbance and all kind of things happening, right? And then they come to school, they look at us, they pay keen attention to us. So our, some call it the curriculum, our attitude really matters. And they might say, you know what? I have seen Sir Bart and I have seen Miss Allen. And then we tell them stories to let them understand that where we came from. And it was not easy task, but we're contented. People are saying now the times are different. But I want to say the times are different in terms of technology and all kinds of things I'm saying. But we can relate to that. We can say, you know what? I understand. I deal with my children. I understand that things are not right, but here where I came from. Here's where I came from. This is what happened to me, and I would have gone to this and I try my best, you know. It's not problem to appreciate somebody that is responsible. Somebody that's responsible, if you don't have money, like I was saying, you can appreciate somebody that is responsible, that will watch your back, like a teacher, you know. Because so I know so about us, we should do children. They will come to us and we will give, right? So back to what I'm saying, the role the teacher plays in the classroom, in school is very, very important because we would have left school and we will look back on how our teachers would operate with us. Sometimes our teachers would leave lasting impression on us and they would say that because of my teacher I am here. Let me give an example from my experience. The child is studying medicine right now. He grew up in an abusive home. I've been his class teacher. He looks at me and I said, "Shall look at me?" And he would look at me and you know, I would know, I was with smiling them, rub their hair, kind of go in and come with him. So when he comes, he said, "I have a problem." I said, "What is this?" And he told me his problem. So long story short. No, what I'm saying, my lifestyle actually influenced him to where he is today. What happened? You come to Miss Allen, can you pray with me? I have this problem. And he share. No, hey what? This child never used to come to school with much to eat. He must have anything in the bowl to eat. But he was content because his mother wasn't, she played an integral part in his life. She had to be contented, telling him things, even if I would do to her, she would actually do the last to him and ensure that she set his back, she can see things are going well. So when he come to school, even if he had this problem going at home, he found comfort in school. Now, what I've seen is many times children find comfort in school. So when that is thing take away from them, the environment at home is toxic and school is not good. So they can raise a bullyism also. So they have to reach a need. So as being in a classroom and sort of bear me out, we have to set where we are, where we came from. We have to set an atmosphere for those children, and it's not easy. So that they would fit in and see that here I have somewhere to go. And if Sir Bart could do this, coming from where Sir Bart came from and where Miss Allen came from, and so what you do, you relate to them. You let them know that you understand what they're going through. And but we are here to help you. You don't have to do it this way. So back to what I was saying about the child. The child now today, the child is studying medicine. And I recognize the part that I would have played in a child's life. And he said, Miss Allen, I'm going to do it because you and my mother, the two female in my life, is giving me that opportunity to say I can go beyond what is happening. So he chose not to become a bully. He should have settled himself down and he studied. right? So when he is school, he was studying. So something at home, may get him to study because his father was very, but at school. So school is another environment away from home that can play a very pivotal role. And we got it's not just teaching alone in a classroom, it's more than teaching. Right? It's like the hidden curriculum is more than teaching. And the same bullies, you might be surprised. Tomorrow morning, you might see myself, because of Sir Bart, because of Miss Allen, whatever the name they might call, I am here today, right? So we can help in some areas in the classroom to help to curb children. And maybe it is frustrating. So bad you can be for me. It can be very frustrating sometimes. Children get to your nerves. But we have got to ask God to give us that inner strength to deal with them. And mind you, now before I go on, mind you, maybe have children at home to go home and deal with. And I think with us dealing which we being a good parent at home, we also become good parents. A teacher, so we can also become good parent because we can say, you know what, we can also help our children at home so they won't get teachers problems neither. You know. So bullying in a classroom, so but it goes both ways, from home and in and school and classroom, your environment, all the environments you can take into place, both environments,
Yes.
school, home,
Uh,
outdoor, all environments come into place there.
can I
Yeah.
add something if that's okay?
Definitely.
Yes.
In this modern society, we find that for some people, not all, I'm not saying all,
Mhm.
for some
Mhm.
people, because there's no father figure around, you see things tend to go in a negative direction because there's not that man that what can I say, that person there to put you in line when you step out, that male figure to put you in line when you step out. And you find this with a lot with the males, right? The male student. Because that is not, we don't have a father at home, so they tend to do whatever they feel like. Do whatever. Mommy can't do me nothing. She they see a mother, a female, as soft, right? So that give them the drive, that empower them to go out and bully, right? So we need for the, I could say the males need to play a more role, a solid role in their children life, especially the male children, right? Because a male is not there, a lot can go wrong, and then you see a lot of bullying going on. And when you check it, most of the students that partake in this bullying activity, their father not around. Sometimes they have a father in their life, but that is not around most of the time, or that they don't have time with them. So, you know, that invisible something that's going on there mold them into somebody
Mm-hmm.
that's becoming a problem in the school system, right? Poor parenting, that's another one. I give this one a 5 star because you could put everything else there. This one will stand out. Poor parenting. If some people may say in our current time, babies are making babies, so there's no um good morals are being passed on and these things, right? So there we have it. Parents are not parenting as they should. Therefore, you have children with bad behaviors going out in the school and doing all sorts of things. And their parents who are bringing the children up good, their children are feeling the pressure in school because of the bad students.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's how I'm gonna put it there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that, Mr. Bart. I definitely do agree that there needs to be much stronger male role models because, there's definitely a lack of that, particularly when it comes to young boys. This has kind of been an
Mhm.
ongoing discussion for ChildLinK when it comes to the importance of role models for young boys and just kind of having healthy and positive representations of masculinity that they can follow, because often a lack of that, or toxic masculinity, often tends to contribute towards a lot of the violence that we see within the schools, within the homes, within our community spaces. So yeah, it is so important to have those types of positive models exist. So thanks so much for that. Just kind of going back to a point that was made a bit earlier about the importance of parents and teachers and their roles when it comes to working together to curb bullying. What do you think? What type of support do you think is needed for teachers, particularly when it comes to curb bullying? I mean, I know teachers already have like so much on their plate, and just kind of dealing with this additional social problem can be a lot. So, like, what support do you think might be needed when it comes to this in particular?
Um,
Okay, sorry about that. You can go ahead, Miss Allen. No problem.
um, parents and teachers. First the thing with Sabat mentioned about good parenting. Teachers and parents should have a good relationship. Now, to have a relationship, you must be able to relate to each other. To have a good relationship, you can't relate, you don't have a relationship. And because teachers and parents may not have a relationship, sorry, don't relate properly, they don't have a relationship. Why I say that? I had an experience with a student, a teacher, right? A parent, sorry, who came in to actually fight with me because a child was bullying me, another child in the classroom. So she doesn't know me, and I never met her before, but she heard this Miss Allen discipline this child, bullying another boy. So what I did, I disciplined him, and so she came into school, had turnback vest and three-quarter pants, and dressed as a big bad wolf. So I heard she was coming. So being professionalism, I'm a professional person. I said, okay, I'm not gonna go down the road. What I did, I went to her and I said, hi, good morning. It's Miss Allen, and I talked to her very nicely. The woman calm right down, bullying. No, that's what I said. Bring in. If you cannot relate to somebody, it ain't got a problem right away. Your child obviously that is a go. And one thing, so teachers must be aware of policies that are around. You must be aware of policies. So we can help these children, right? When it comes to that point, sometimes something may be out of our control, but we're not aware of what is happening around. We can go to things that are happening. Teachers are in the class and don't know anything that's happening. How we can go for help, and so we must be aware of policies, right? That are out for bullying or whatever policies that are wrong, or probably help to make those policies, right? And you can set positive expectations, right? As a teacher, too, as a classroom teacher, you can set positive expectation from your class room, or even when you go to teach. You set positive expectation, what you expect from this child, what you expect from your class, and you look around and you may see, right? So in that way, you should be able to form a relationship with children. So you chat with them, you talk with them, you can make funny jokes. And if you find something, I find that some person who are bullies, you find that they come to you to bully you to as teachers, or bad. I know you can relate to that. Sometimes they try to be tunnel. They try to override in the class, like talking loud over you, making themselves, funny in front of the classroom, laughing and all kind of things. Yeah. So you look at those things and you try to work through them and work with them and work with them, so you can go so you understand that what they're doing, right? This one you have to curb. Then they got to with the sorry with the parents also. As a parent, if you kind of observe what's happening in your children at home, you can reach out to the teacher and said, Miss, I am observing something is happening. My child, I see he's withdrawn. He's not doing his homework. Is there any homework at school? Sometimes it could be the child's being bullied or the child is a bully. You never know. So as parents and teachers, when you have a relationship, it's a relationship with each other, you have a relationship and you build that bond, and the child will say, you know what, mommy and miss, or mommy and sir, the stock. They have a communication point among them, between themselves, and you find that sometimes these children will say, you know what, I get covered here, I get cornered here, right? So you can have a relationship with the parents. you have a relationship with the children in the classroom, and also the ones who are bullying, you can pull them in. I do it sometimes from time to time. I try to pull them in so you can have a little bit of rapport with them. And something on the way you hear what's happening, you might say, "Oh my gosh," you might think something different. It might be what you were thinking, and try to look at the problem so you can find a solution for what is happening with these children in the classroom. So sometimes all bullies are, we should say, bad. Some of them just want to be, because of what is happening. I know, sorry, but I want to share what I was saying.
I agree with you, Miss Allen. Also, what I think can be done to have a more positive impact on the student's life or the behavior, I think we need like a permanent counselor in each school. This need to be something that or a direction that we're heading in. We need permanent counselors at each school. Because why I'm saying this is that let's take for example the secondary level. A teacher who is teaching say maths, they have probably 5 different level, or they have 10 different classes they have to teach, right? That teacher is pressured by by the amount of work they have to do. So they cannot give that child or children the individual attention that they need, right? So you see where I'm coming from. You see where a breakdown can happen by not giving the individual attention that child need. You find that it's like you're doing you're doing a quick fix that will then revert back to the problem, a temporary fix then, right? So permanent counselors at schools, that's one. And what I think need to be done as it relates to parents. Now we have a situation like this here. The students who behave bad, the parents don't come to meetings. The parents don't know what's going on in the child life. I would say I'm not sure if they're not aware or they don't have an interest in that child's life. Because if you're investing in your child, you should be having a very serious interest in your child life, right? And the type of things they're involved in. So what I think needs to be done now is we need to formulate a way to ensure parents take part in their child life, come to some session or something. We need to have more than just parent teacher meetings and these sort of things, right? We need to get parents more involved in this process, right? And that will help reduce some of the violence in school and the high level of bullying you see going on. Because the bullying can not just physical, right, with other students or taking the money or something. It can be verbal too. It can be many other things that take place in the classroom, right? And it happens at all levels, from primary straight up to secondary. It happens. Also, thirdly, I think we should have more programs on the like a ad or a jingle or something about bullying, right? To help prevent it and help to curb bullying within schools, or and also the violence in schools, right? I think we can have more ads and we can have more education programs going on to help with the process. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that. Miss Ellen, do you want to add any points?
Yeah, what Barton said is, it make a lot of sense. We need to have programs to offset those, because my children see some things. I think they do better. Visual, yeah, and yeah, it's better. Mm.
Yes, certainly. Yes, the importance of having counselors within the school. I do know that's a topic that's been around for quite a while, and there has been some small movements towards, heading in that direction, but it's nowhere close to what is needed. So definitely kind of ramping up the work in that area specifically, I do believe can help a lot. So I think that when it comes to curbing bullying, it is very important because the impacts, both short and long term, can be immense. This comes from not only the violence within the schools, but of course, the patterns and behaviors that children can take with them throughout their lives. So, kind of moving to the support that children might
Miss
need,
Allen,
those
you
who
could
experience
cut off if you need to.
bullying.
I have you mute right
I
now,
know that this responsibility also
so
often
you
tends
could
to
take a
fall on
moment.
teachers to provide that type of
That's all right.
support. But what support do you think might be needed for those who experience bullying and why?
Miss Allen?
I just had a cough just now. Sorry, just repeat yourself for me. I didn't get it one quite.
Oh, sure, no problem. I was asking about the support that would be needed for children who experience it in schools.
For that they would
Okay.
need. So what do you want to go for? I don't.
Sure, no problem. One,
Yeah, I'll. But this.
students need someone that can listen to them. They need, what can I say, a neutral ears, right? They need to feel comfortable in that person who will listen, to be able to express and say whatever is bothering them. That can be the root cause of their behavior, right? So we need that safe zone and that safe person, that comfortable person, right? And I believe it comes back to having a counselor too, right? Also, that child will need to be in, you can say, let me find a perfect way to put it, a support group, right? Where they have other individuals like them that they can meet up, like how they meet up in clubs and stuff like that, and they share their different problems, and they can help each other partake in games that can help them to overcome these things, because they are games designed to help these kind of individuals, right? So we need those two things. I think thirdly, um, if we can have a safe space, somewhere they can go, right, to get this support. Sometimes, yes, we may have a counselor at the school, but that might not be enough for that child, right? So having a safe space where they feel free, they feel comfortable also, and they are able to meet up with other individuals like themselves, and they can have a experience facilitator there or individual to help all these individuals together, right? Bring out the necessary games and activity that will help them overcome their problem, right? That's it.
Yeah, Sabart, you're right. You need to be as I mean, trust. One of the things that we have in society is a trust issue, and children look somebody they can trust in. They can trust and find, and if they are confident that they will get some kind of solution from, right. And like what Sabart said, you must have a safe, you must feel safe, right? And they look for that, and they look. Sometimes they find it again as teachers. They find it in teachers. They might find it in parents, and it goes both ways, right? So they look at somebody that they could trust, right? So we have to identify them that here, if as a teacher, because we're teachers, right? Look at teachers' point of view. You can trust me, And you gotta make sure that they can also trust you. That if they come to something that you can trust them and you can lead them to a place where they can where you can find help or you can find help for them. Um, so there was 2 nights ago again, I had this 2 nights ago, a parent called me personally after 9 o'clock. This parent called me. She trusts me. She called me, Miss, this is my situation. My daughter is Y and Z. She would listen to me. I know she'll listen to you, Miss Allen. I was like, what? Miss Allen? I said, okay. So the parent called me and I called the child and I spoke to the child at length and I talked to her. When of course when she went back home to her mother's house. I saw the next day and I talked to her and I talked to her and I let her know. I said, listen to me, and I had to move away from the environment she was in because children were around and she was kind of, you can see that she was kind of withdrawn because she may think I would talk. So what I did, I took her away from where she was and we were in a very quiet place and we said and we talk and we started relating to each other and I started showing her certain things and how she hurt her mother and what can happen and so forth. So in her, instead of her bullying or something, I found her, she kind of get reserved. She kind of pulling and she was listening. So, and one of the things we don't do, we don't follow up. Go to follow up because you want this person to heal also too, right? So I would do follow up and I would call and find out how is she doing? Is she at home? What is happening? How is things happening? What is happening? And because they find that the children may find that somebody is interested in them in the welfare and they tend to see what I find. I know everybody, they're all children, they tend to find, you see, they start pulling themselves back in line because hey, so is looking at me, I gotta live work a little more hard and they look and they come and say, Miss, are you okay, Miss, everything? Yes. And you find that it will take a time, but a child or him or her will start changing, right? So one of the big things is trust. The children are able to trust you because many times adults, children do not find trust in adults anymore because sometimes you find that there are the very adults who are destroying these children and having them doing silly things. And sometimes when you do get behind the whole scene, it's not a child like themselves doing these things as an adult. So you will find that sometimes they look at an adult, the trust is not there in adults. So what they do, they trust who? Somebody else like themselves who might do the same thing like themselves. So they find comfort in that thing. So somebody's right, we can find straightforward safe zone for them, let them trust us adults, so that we will able to help the children grow into another like just like we are, and how we were able to do it. So the trust is a big thing, and help the children to heal or help to get out of bullyism. Yeah.
Both so much for
So
sharing
true.
those points. Yeah, the importance of safe spaces for children really cannot be overstated. A lot of times with the negative behaviors we see within schools or home environments, it's just because children don't have a safe space within which they can talk or ask questions or learn certain things. And so, of course, as Miss Allen also mentioned, they tend to really learn from those around them, their peers, which is not always the best thing because they are also children, they're learning from their environments, and they might not have the kind of support or oversight that is needed. So ensuring that the adults that are around them can really kind of provide that type of guidance, can offer them a very non-judgmental space within which they can really exist and work through certain things, can be incredibly helpful for children. So I just really wanted to kind of expand on those points because they're so very important. And I do hope that there can be a lot more safe spaces within school environments and home environments and community spaces, because that really can help us get in the direction that we need to go. So we're just kind of winding down right now. And this, of course, as expected, was a really great and insightful conversation. And I'm sure for those who are joining us, it has been a bit of an eye opener too, as it relates to the contributors to bullying in schools, what are some of the things that they themselves can do, and the ways in which teachers can be supported on both short and long term ways. So, Miss Allen and Mr. Bart, is there anything that I did not ask that you would like to highlight at this point? How about we go with you, Miss Allen?
Okay. For me as a parent and a teacher, there are certain things that we have to look for in our children, right? And so that we, and also we wouldn't want to scare them, right? As you were mentioning before, what they say, so we don't want to scare them, and as adults also, we want to ensure that they are comfortable, right? So we want to make them comfortable as much as we can in our homes and in the classroom, right? So one of the things that I didn't mention is making them feel comfortable, even though they're safe, make them feel comfortable. Yeah, they are in a safe space, but are they really comfortable? They are in a good home, but are they really comfortable where they are? And what are the things that we are allowing them to have access to also too is also right. And also we have look at indicators. Some parents may not know, right, what are the indicators, and teachers may not know, but sometimes children roll their eyes, right? And we have to look at why do they roll their eyes. Is something up, certain things we have to look for, right? um some children love to use sarcasm, and I found sarcasm is something that really children a lot. I find a lot happening in the classroom, and I spoke to children about being very sarcastic because people take it differently, and it's a form of bullying too. People take it differently, and especially among girls. Let me be specific. Especially among girls, girls love to show sarcastic remarks at girls, and boys they will more fist fight. Now you're finding girls are fighting too, but girls like to use a lot of sarcasm, right? So we have to look at try to them to understand that being sarcastic is not something good to do. It's also way of bullying also somebody if they don't know. They're not to be sarcastic. Um, Laughing at each other also too is a very not a very nice thing to do with children, and because you don't know where the children are coming from or what is happening with them, and you don't laugh at them. So their child came to school, I said allow their child to school uniform and to new, and I laugh at her, and she became very upset, and I had to talk to her, let her know that it's okay. So some those are some of the things I would want to leave with parents and also with teachers in the classroom, right? We have to look for certain indicators and don't let us take these things lightly, right? We have to look very closely and look for patterns in children behavior. There are certain patterns that children display on a regular basis, and we tend to look it over. Tend to look over and say it's going to go away, but it doesn't always seem that way. All right,
True.
so
Thank
far.
you.
Yes. Well, for me, I just want to stress on something. The impact of bullying and violence in school is serious, right? The web that these things can span is so wide. A child's performance can start to have a negative effect, right? The overall personality, the behavior, right? Both for the victim and the person who is doing it, right? Bullying. So you find that these things are infecting other sectors of that child life, right? And also it's causing problem at home because that child that is being bullied, they go home, all of a sudden they don't want to talk to the parents, they don't want to eat the food they cook, you know, there are sorts of they develop a new attitude because of these negative impacts, right? The parents is left in confusion because they're wondering what's going on with this child and why this child is trying to talk to the child, but they're not skilled enough. They don't have the adequate knowledge to draw out what's happening with that child, right? So you see how these things are impacting all the different parts of that child life. It can impact who they become in the future, right? And you could imagine somebody become, say, a criminal or some thief or something, or, you know, somebody bad in society, and is one incident is what turned that child life into that negative spiral, right? So what I would leave with parents and teachers and other officials is that we need to take a holistic approach towards helping these children. Get them all the necessary help they need, set up the safe zones, get the professionals. We need to train more psychologists and counselors. We need to do what we need to do, right, to help these children. And you will see next 10 years we have better individuals taking the role as adults in society just by working on it now, getting them the help they need now, right? Because bullying have been happening since in my time. That's way long ago, right? But what are we going to do? That's what we gotta ask ourselves, right? So parents, as Miss Allen would have said, look for the hints, right? Teachers, just you know, show that you care a little bit more about that child who's not interacting, that child who is, withdrawn, right? Who's not performing right. Something is causing it, right? So we all need to play a part, and we need help also. And the relevant authority can help us with that help. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for those closing points. They are incredibly important and definitely needed really urgently, I might add, because, as we've seen, there's definitely a lot of bullying and violence within our schools, and there needs to be some sort of holistic approach towards addressing that. So I really love that the conversation today spoke not only about responses within the school, but also responses in the home environment, how state intervention can really support certain mechanisms. And I think those are really important to highlight. So thank you once again for your time today and for sharing your perspectives. It was incredibly insightful. So thank you once again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Take
Thank
care.
Thank you
Bye.
for having us here.